is, do you consider yourself more of an originalist, textualist, pragmatist, or something else? Okay, you're right here beside us.
Well, this sounds like a law school question. I have been in law school in a very long time. I guess I would consider myself a pragmatist, in that I believe that every person who is sitting on the bench should be specifically dedicated to figuring out the cases that are happening right in front of them, as opposed to having a particular ideology one way or the other. So I guess in that sense, I guess all people sitting on the bench should be pragmatists. Now, with regard to whether or not I believe that the United States Constitution is a living document, I think that kind of goes without saying. I mean, I don't think that. I think that with regard to all the things that have been written in it, I mean, it clearly has an evolving impact on people, and that it is a document that we have the ability and right, and really the edict or the responsibility of changing so that it fits our current needs. Without being able to opine about any specific opinions, I think that that's kind of my perspective on originalist versus pragmatist.
Perfect timing. Okay. All right. Next is Tracy Blount, and again the question: do you consider yourself more of an originalist, textualist, pragmatist, or something else?
I'm definitely a pragmatist. Common sense, doing what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, following the law. I'm a pragmatist. I look at things very pragmatically, very practically, very common sense, and that's who I am. Short and sweet.
Thank you. Georgia, Florida.
Well, I think I'm a activist as well. You know, I just think that, or maybe I'm none of those, you know. I see myself as a problem solver. I see myself as a person who respects and cares about our community. Now, whatever category that puts me in, I guess that's the category I'm in. As a judge, and even as a prosecutor, I feel that my job is to not only know the law and implement the law, but also use common sense. Because when you're dealing with people, you have to use common sense as well. If you don't use common sense within the confines of the law, then what you're doing sometimes just doesn't make any sense. And you know what? I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want people to come into my court and say, oh, please don't go into Worcester court. She doesn't make any kind of sense. She doesn't have any common sense. She doesn't know what she's doing. I don't want that. Even if I'm right on every single letter of the law, you need more to be effective. You need more to be able to serve the community. And that's what I want to do. I believe I would be excellent at it. I do it now. I love it. And I just think that that's what my calling is. So label me whatever you want.
Thank you. All right, next up is Stephen Knapp. Same question for you. Do you consider yourself more of an originalist, textualist, pragmatist, or something else?
I consider myself something else. I consider myself a person who has a deep understanding of the law and bring life to the law based on the facts of a case, and apply the law when no one's watching, when duty calls for the law to be applied. And that's what we all do in court. What we do and why we have the profession we have is because we have a deep commitment to the Constitution. As a service member, I have a deep commitment to defending the Constitution. It is a document that is the very basis of how we are able to live as a free nation. I understand that there are shorthand ways to talk about that sentiment and that ideal, but it really shouldn't be captured in those terms. It should be captured in who we are as a people, what we do to better our community, what decisions we make, and what ideas we have for the future. And I really do take those things to heart when I think about my duty in defending the Constitution and my daily duty of understanding the law, applying the law to the facts.
Thank you. Okay, next is Erica Wiley. The question, do you consider yourself more of an originalist, textualist, pragmatist, or something else?
I'd say a pragmatist and a realist. The nature of my job requires me to have really hard discussions with my clients. A lot of time the evidence is definitely not in our and their favor, and to have realistic conversations with them about what the outcome in their case is going to be and why accepting those outcomes is in their best interest. I think that pragmatism dispenses with things like we've talked about before, public opinion, trying to fit the decisions into a particular political leaning or something of that nature, or a certain way of looking at things. Individualized decisions are what's important. Dealing with every case on an individual basis, applying common sense is what I think a pragmatist does, and that's the kind of judge I would be.
Okay, thank you. Sharon Ransom, so do you consider yourself more of an originalist, textualist, pragmatist, or something else?
I'm going to be honest, I had to look this up because I didn't realize what those terms were. So I would have to say I'm more of a pragmatist because I deal with things realistically, and I think as judges we should. I don't think we should be, aside from what Stephen said, is upholding the Constitution. We shouldn't be glued to one area. We should be ever-changing, like the law is ever-changing. And utilizing, when I talk about utilizing alternatives to incarceration, thinking realistically and thinking outside of the box to solve problems. Like one of the examples I like to give is when we're dealing with juveniles or youth in school and they're getting in trouble or committing crimes, I would want to be the kind of judge that makes them go into the diploma. That would be a deal I would make in order for them to better themselves and not label them as a felon or as a convict, but do something to better their lives. And I think you have to think realistically and be kind of, imagine things that would be better for a person. So I would think thinking more realistically is the way I would want to do the kind of judge that I would be. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon Ransom. Next up is Renee Rose.
I got the question.
Okay, 90 seconds.
I'm not even sure I'm going to need 90 seconds. I'm not sure. I might be a combination of some things, but I feel that the job of a judge is to follow the law, and that's the main purpose of our job. We're not advocates. We don't interpret things the way we feel that they should be. We follow the law. That's the job. And so I understand that that's the job that we're supposed to do. It's an individual assessment of the facts of each case and how it applies to the law. So I'm not sure if I'm a sensibilist. I don't know what I would qualify as, but I understand the job of a judge is to follow the law. And regardless of your personal opinion, regardless of political opinions, the job of creating the law is up to the politicians. We're not politicians. Our job is to interpret and follow the law. So I would do that as a judge. Thank you.